Hello, everyone. Today's Tuesday, May the 24th.
I'm Bruce Turner in Lynchburg, Virginia.
I'm George Dosher in Jacksonville, Florida.
I'm Jeff Zayas in Napa, California.
I'm Keith Milner from the United Kingdom.
And I'm Robert Taylor in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Hey, everyone. I'm Duke Carrico, and we're back. Hey, on tonight's Android Journal, we're going to be heavy with some Google I/O conference news. Hey, Google's going to build their own modular phone to debut sometime next year. And the one that gets me excited, Chromebooks are going to get apps, only about 1.5 million of them. Hey, gang, all of this and much more. This is episode 111. Welcome back to Tech and Coffee's Android Journal, gang.
Yay!
Hey, you know, I got to looking, and right at 6 months ago, it was, I think the second week of November was the last time we did this show, and I just, real quick, before we get into the show, I just want to tell everyone, it really makes me feel good when I get messages on Google Plus and Twitter wanting to know, where is Android Journal? What happened to Android Journal? That lets me know that people out there are actually listening to us. And thank you, guys. Real quick, listen. I don't want to bring the whole show down. There's been a lot of death and sickness between me and my family and the panel and their family, and I didn't want to do this without them, and everybody's back, everybody's healthy. Let's get it on, gang. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Well,
Hey,
I think my mental health is still a little suspect, so.
well, Jeff did just get out of the crazy hospital. Yeah, but Jeff, that's really no surprise to people who listen to this show.
Exactly.
I figured Jeff would be wearing Google glasses by this time.
With my iPad.
Yeah.
I bet you if we go look in Jeff's cabinet, he's got a secret pair stashed away that he doesn't want to show. He didn't want it. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's right next to my queue.
To the guy who told me to kick Jeff off the show because he defended Apple on an Android show one night. Sorry, but Jeff's back. We love him.
All right, let's start.
Hey guys, Keith, you're a Tech and Coffee regular, but not necessarily an Android Journal regular. Welcome. We're very glad to have you with us, man.
Pleased to be here.
Hey guys, let's get it on. First of all, let's talk about Google's and their Project Era. It looks like this thing is going to be for real. They're saying sometime in 2017. I'm guessing it will be very late next year, probably when they introduce their Nexus phones. But they are going to make this modular phone. And Keith, I'm going to start with you, man. What do you think about this approach to a smartphone?
I think it's interesting. I think it's potentially very powerful. I'm just kind of concerned about the robustness and the sleekness of it, because modern phones are kind of pretty small and take a lot of beating, and if it's modular, it just makes me think it might not be quite as robust and might be a bit chunkier. But other than that, I think it's kind of an interesting idea. It'd be kind of cool to be able to buy some building blocks and bolt them together and build your own kind of your own sort of style phone. So yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what they come up with.
Okay. Hey, Bruce, jump in here, man. What's your opinion on this modular phone?
One is I'll believe it when I see it. Google doesn't have a really good track record. They've talked a lot about this for a long time, and now all of a sudden it's come back. Second, I'm not so much a fan of modular. Take the LG G5, for instance, that's come out. I just don't see a lot of moving parts and modular function to be something that people really want in a cell phone. The only thing that intrigued me about it was I'm starting to do more photography and video on my phone. That's why I changed recently to the Galaxy S7 because of its great camera. You know, so maybe if it was a modular phone and you could get some really whiz-bang camera, you know, and pricing-wise it worked out to be, you know, good, then I can see maybe it working for that. But I'm not a real fan of modular.
Okay. Hey, Robert, I'll let you go next, man. What do you think? I mean, you're not a photographer that I know of.
I'm not a photographer, and I, like Keith, believe that a phone needs to be durable and last, both battery life and functionality, more than having the capability of just being able to swap out parts. And truthfully, let's face it, there's only really two things on a phone that most people might even consider swapping out. One is expandable storage, which you can accommodate with an SD card change, and two, the camera. So if that's the only two devices that really are worthwhile swapping out, it doesn't make sense to me to build a modular phone. So like Bruce, I kind of believe it when I see it, but even then, it really kind of reeks of the Amazon phone, if you ask me.
Really, the Amazon phone. That never crossed my mind. Hey, Jeff, you want a chance at this?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Brucey on this one. Not a big fan. Even if I did drop the phone on the ground and it splattered into like underneath my refrigerator or something like that, that would be very bad. And I could see things happening that someone was holding in their car and something took place and they're trying to get the part together and they're driving. So I'm not a big fan of it. I agree with Robert as well. The only thing you'd probably want to swap out would be the camera, and that would be it. And perhaps the battery if if you wanted to have more battery life or something. But yeah, not a big fan. No.
Okay, I think one thing that really scares me about this is, we don't know anything about pricing, and I'm thinking that, first of all, watching this video here that I have up, you'll see them just like grab the little Legos and pull it off and stick another one in, and if it's truly that way, first of all, if you drop it, Jeff, it's going to be just like you described. But I think the price. I think if you end up you invest $400 or $500 in it, and then you keep spending money for upgrades, and then it still is worn out in 2 years. I'm just not convinced that while I think this is a cool idea, this is one of those things that I'm going to have to watch it pretty carefully before I spend my money on it.
Yep.
Yeah, and what do you think the pricing will be? Like $395, under $300?
Well, I think it could be under 300, but it just depends on. I think you're going to have options. Do you want the 6 megapixel rear-facing camera, or do you want the 13.8 megapixel camera? And also, I think for this to really be successful, I think you're going to have to get a lot of third-party hardware folks involved in this. And I'm not aware of any at this time. Even though Google is making this, I think for it to be successful, I think you got to have some other players, camera players, display players.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm sorry.
This isn't the first modular phone I've seen, though. There's been a bunch on Kickstarter, so it's not a new idea at all. There's phone blocks. There's NextPack, which is actually a pack that goes on the back of an existing phone that adds modular devices to it. So it's not the first, but it's the first phone we've seen come out directly from Google.
Well, one thing that does give me hope, and I've said this before, if Google is going to build the hardware, then they're going to control both the hardware and the software. And I think that is one thing that has made Apple great, is that they have the ability to control every aspect of what they make. And so the only thing is here again, I'm worried about what the end cost is going to be for this, and I'm afraid it's just going to be one of those things that in 2 years I'm still going to want to replace it.
Yeah, Google doesn't have a great track record with hardware. You know, I mean, they really don't.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. I mean, okay, they've not actually made it themselves, but they have taken control of the spec and the design. They've actually subcontracted it to other people. And the concern I would have is investing in a platform that they basically abandon, which we'll probably talk about some stuff later, but
Yeah.
they've got a habit of doing that.
I take exception to a particular phrase in this article, too. The phrase is, modular phones have long been a dream. Really? Has this idea been a dream? I don't, you know, I mean, not until they brought it up. I mean, I think that's just over dramatizing the situation. I don't think it's long been a dream.
Yeah, I think a lot of people simply say, I would like to be able to swap out a better camera. You know, maybe I wish I had a better camera, or I had more storage, or I had a better battery. But certainly, when you buy the phone, you try to address those issues off the bat.
Right.
And if you're going to, like Duke says, have to trade it out again in 2 years, you're not going to invest an exceptionally large amount of money in hardware that's swappable.
Well, let's talk real quick about history. I had a Palm Pre-O. Actually, I had 3 of them. This is the 680. I had 2 650s. Palm came out with what they called the Folio, which was basically a keyboard thing that you stuck your palm in, and they were downhill after that. Everybody thought it was ridiculous. Everyone was expecting a new phone. Then there's the Motorola Atrix. Do you remember how this was going to be the processor and it was going to drive? And I think just the keyboard alone with the little screen was like $550 on top of the phone price. And that's what concerns me. You invest all of this money in one device that history has shown will be obsolete in about 24 to 36 months.
And typically the trend has been hardening the phone with Gorilla Glass, making the phone waterproof, things like that to create the durability of the phone, right? Shatterproof, not so much modular. I don't think that was a real need. I think they're creating a need and hoping that they have a market for it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Phone sales are down. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're Microsoft making a Google phone or Apple, phone sales are down. Why is that?
Especially if you're Microsoft. But the interesting article in The Verge about this suggests that Google might actually be aiming to produce a new hardware standard for micro hardware modules that could be used for all kinds of things, ranging from doorbells to TVs to whatever, rather than just phones. And if that's true, it could be interesting.
Yeah, that would drive down production costs. They use the same module for different usage,
And based on their high-speed bus, which could be a killer kind of hardware capability for a lot of things.
All right, hey, I'll tell you what, man. Let's go ahead and move on. Next up, let's talk about how cool I look.
You look like
He looks like a minion.
He needs a snorkel.
No, what was that Vin Diesel movie?
I don't care. I don't care how cool they make VR. Anybody that puts on one of these looks like an idiot. I don't care. Okay. I mean, there's no way you can look cool doing VR. Listen, Google is going to be selling its own VR headset. They're calling it Daydream. Third parties, they will be involved at some point. Right now, we've had Google Cardboard, which has basically been driven by your Android or iOS device. The one thing that gets me about VR so far is the price of some of these. I mean, the HTC Vive, man, that thing's it's listing for about $900. The Sony VR is, I mean, man, by the time you invest in the PlayStation, so forth, etc., you're pushing $1,000. I don't think this is going to be that expensive, but that said, I believe it's going to set above $5. And guys, I don't get that excited about VR. Cardboard makes me sick to my stomach. Okay? So, hey, George, you've got one of these, man. Give me your thoughts. Is there a big market in VR? I mean, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's doing it. What do you think?
Yeah, it was still really cool when I first got that to show it off, and people were playing with it. They were doing the games, the roller coaster rides, the side-by-side videos. It was kind of cool, and for about 2.5 months now, it's been sitting on my back shelf because, you know, it's just so much you can do with it, and then you're just kind of like, yeah, okay. And it just goes on the shelf.
I agree. So, Bruce, VR, how do you see VR in your future?
Too much of my life is virtual already. I'm a telecommuter. I work from home, video conferencing and everything. I want to immerse myself more in reality. I want to go for a hike like I did recently, on a trail, on the Appalachian Trail to Apple Orchard Falls, and just kind of breathe all that in. That's just for me personally. I've never been a gamer, so a lot of VR has a lot to do with gaming. I understand, the idea about being able to go to an exotic place you've never been able or wouldn't be able to afford to travel, and do it in a virtual reality. Kind of the I remember when I was a kid growing up. You remember those two, the ViewMaster, right? Okay, so maybe something like that would have some application, but not enough for me. I think maybe if you had, how you could go to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you could do a cassette or an audio tour of Civil War battlefields. Maybe if you went to a location and they had those that you could rent or were part of the experience, where you could. But as far as investing, money in something like that, which is just going to be a hole that you're going to continue to drop coin, I'm not really that interested in it, though.
It's I don't know. It seems to be a big push by everybody. Hey, Robert, what about VR, man? Can you see yourself? Can you see your children maybe immersing themselves in this, getting real excited about it?
Oddly enough, I can with my youngest son. It's not for me. I have tried it. I get nauseous and dizzy. It does not do well for me. But my son, Jonathan, he is a heavy gamer. He's into the virtual reality. He would absolutely love the opportunity. I think my problem would be I couldn't get him to cut the grass again because he'd have that stupid headset on.
Yeah, and then he'd want you to change his
grass cutting app or something.
He'd want you to change his name from Jonathan to Jack.
Yeah.
Hey, anybody else want to jump in here? Let's see, Jeff, Keith.
Yeah, I'll just say one. Go ahead, Keith. You go first.
I think I kind of agree. It's not my thing. I know a lot of gamers who are very interested in it, especially with some of the first-person games. Elite apparently is very good on it. Some of the other games and some of the things like some of the other sets require some quite elaborate setting up. If you're actually going to walk around your room, and to be honest, I think that sounds really dodgy. I think there can potentially be some niche applications like remote medical stuff or whatever. But I think it's fixed in the gaming industry, and to be honest, I think it has a lot of potential in the adult industry.
Yeah,
I do. If that gets into it, I think I can see it being popular for not necessarily the right reasons, but.
Well, and speaking of that, Keith, that's what one of the applications for Google Glass was. That I think that's why Jeff wanted Glass so bad.
No, but but I was going to say if they ever, if they make it more appliance oriented, like a sporting event, right? if you could watch football from a point of view of a quarterback or something like that, or let's say you're NASCAR drivers and you can actually be in the car as a live event, right? I think that would be very, very cool. So I see that this is kind of like a bridge to a different type of live entertainment more than it would be for gaming how I would like to see it.
I think you're absolutely right, Jeff. I mean, already Formula One and Formula E are actually doing 3D cockpit cameras, which you can ride along with.
Yeah.
And if you actually had a VR headset on, that could be quite exhilarating.
That would be very cool, right?
Real quick before we move off of this, how do you think Google's positioned to compete with VR?
Pretty good, I think. I think they've got the. I think a lot of the thing with VR is the ability to process a lot of data, and Google are good at that. And they've already come up with some interesting stuff just through cardboard and things like Tilt Brush.
Yeah.
Tilt Brush is very, very cool.
Yeah, I think they probably they're ahead of most with what they've been doing with cardboard, and people have already been developing for it. So
and 3D YouTube. I mean, they've been gearing that up for a while.
Yes. Yep. All right. Hey, man. Moving on. Let's talk about listen. I probably failed to mention overall. I thought Google did a real good job at I/O 2016. Everything seemed to flow, but I think if I was to sum it up, they were basically answering a lot of their competitors, and especially with this next product, because for a long time we've had the Amazon Echo. What, for a year and a half now? This has been on the market. No real competitor, and Google has announced Google Home. I'll have to say I think that Google is in a very good position to give Android a run, or I'm sorry, give Amazon a run for their money, just because of the things that Google is already doing and the stuff that I'm sharing with them already through their search apps. Okay. Yeah. So Jeff, I know you recently picked up a Amazon Echo, right. So I'm going to let you go first on this one, brother. What do you think of the Google Home demo?
Well, I didn't see the Google Home demo, so I can't really speak to it. But as that, they're coming late to the game, really, really late, right? Because the Echo is actually a very big hit for Amazon, and rightfully so. But I think where Amazon was smart, and I don't know if Home has done this as of yet, is they have released their API, and a lot of people have written apps and things to them. You could order for example, you can order a pizza through Amazon Echo, and you can do some other things, and obviously it works with Nest and all these other products. So but that's not why I got it. I got it for something else, because it was an extremely reasonably priced Wi-Fi speaker that had additional functionality, and I'm actually surprised with how it sounds, and it's how quick it is. So and that the far field technology for speaking to it. You're across the room and you say the wake up word, and it actually responds and does what it needs to do. So it's pretty good, and I think Google needs to be in this. And everyone's jumping on it now, and so is Siri, right? They're all doing, so is Apple. They're all doing the same thing. So I think Google's well positioned to do it, and I think they have, the intelligent factor, because I guess with Google Home, you have the ability to ask a question, and then you can ask a follow-up question, and it realizes that follow-up question was on that subject. So that's kind of cool. Amazon Echo doesn't do that. It just does the basic, stuff. How old is Pamela Anderson? When was the last time that Duke Kiriko had hair? Stuff like that. And stuff that's well known. So, but I like it. I really, really like it. On a scale of 1 to 10, it is a solid 9.5.
Very good, Glenn. I just want you to know that I've got plenty of hair on my back, Jeff. Hey, George.
That's what the Echo says.
Google in a position to compete well with Amazon, or are they? Or do you think that they're playing catch up? Jeff said something that I don't totally agree with. That Google's late to the game. Google's been the first to challenge Amazon. If anything, everybody else is going to be late to the game.
I think Amazon did well with that, and they're releasing a newer version too, a smaller one. But I kind of liked in I/O when I can't remember the gentleman who was talking, but he said that um, they gave props to Amazon first off, because for bringing this to us. So they didn't, they didn't say this is our idea, but this is a great idea, and we're just going to run with it as well. But I don't think they're really late to the game. I think they're the second contender in the game. I mean, the next one we're probably going to see is a Microsoft Bing one or something. But it's just, I think you're right. Where Google has a lot more out there for us to intertwine with than Amazon does. So you have Google Music. You have it's kind of interface with your Chromecast. So you can sit there and say, hey, play this movie for me, and it's going to push it to whatever TV. They have that jump on Amazon. Amazon actually doesn't really do that so much, except a little bit maybe with the Fire Stick and DLNA.
Does, yeah.
But I think they have a jump on Amazon now. They've taken Amazon's idea, and they have more of an infrastructure to push it out there. So
I think they know more personally about me. I mean, they know how long it's going to take me to get to and from work. When I'm away from home, they know how far away from home I am. They know what I'm already sharing to. Hey, Google knows more about me than I do, and that's why I think that Google Home is it's going to be poised to take over the world. Now, that doesn't mean that we should let them, right, Keith?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like the speech technology aspect of it, and as a digital assistant, I think, as everyone else has said, I think Google's in the foremost position to do that because they've got the strength in the technology and the speech recognition, all that sort of stuff, and also they've got the strength in the range of apps, including YouTube, including Gmail and the assistant stuff that's built into things like Inbox. YouTube, all of that stuff, maps, you name it. There's loads of stuff there that Google have got which Amazon don't. But my personal view is I don't want any single one company, and it's not just Google. I'd actually rather it was Google than anyone else at this point in time. But I just don't want any single one company running my house. I don't want them controlling my heating system directly. I wouldn't mind it if there was an interface for a digital assistant to control a third-party heating system that I'd chosen, which wasn't necessarily a Google product, or a security system or whatever. Because I think the IoT stuff concerns me from a technical point of view and a security point of view and a functionality point of view, because you get locked in. I mean, great example. I've got this thing here called a Canary, and it's basically a little thing I picked up fairly cheaply, just so it's like it's got a camera in it. It's got a environmental sensor, so it measures humidity and temperature and air quality. I mainly got it for the air quality, but you can pop these things around your house, and they'll basically give you a video monitoring system. But they're all IoT. I have got no control over this. I've basically got a really trivial little app on this which contacts their servers to see my video stream, which means at any point in time they could potentially log into it and start using it. But
Big Brother is watching you.
Exactly. But more importantly, it's like this is a brick. If their server stops working, which it did today, it's a brick. Now it's a temporary problem, but as soon as and we've seen this with I can't remember the name of the product that Google bought out, and then they basically recently turned off. All of the people who bought their products are left with an expensive brick because you're relying on their web service to do something that really you should be doing internally. And so I've taken that approach with my security system, my CCTV system, my heating system, and I'm happy if Google will talk to that via some kind of API, but I don't want to have something which really reliant on Google or any other company to maintain and to upgrade and to produce more capability on and so on.
Okay. Listen. I can't argue. Listen. First of all, I do think that when Google releases this thing, if they release it at least the same price as the Echo, they might have a winner. Now they might not, because there's something that I'm going to talk about here shortly, and that's Google's failure to market anything correctly. But yeah, I think that Google Home is just because if you're using Google now, if you're using Google services, I mean, man, they've got your Gmail, they've got access to so many things that Amazon doesn't.
Yeah,
And,
I totally agree. I think they potentially could have a massive success for that. I am being very wary about. I personally wouldn't let them. There's an area of my home that I'm not going to let them go beyond. I
Yeah,
will
but that,
say also that there's a lot of competitors and partners coming up in line, and one that's kind of interesting to me because I've actually got a lot of their equipment already is Sonos, the speaker manufacturer, because they make very high quality speakers compared with the Echo and potentially what Google have come up with. And they've actually stated an intention to get into that market. Whether they're going to do that by partnering with someone like Google or I don't know, but they've got a massive embedded market already out there.
I got a couple comments on this. First, a word to George. If Microsoft steps into this space, it's not going to be called Bing. It's going to be called Bong. And 5 people will sit around it and we'll all speak to it, and it'll try to sort it out. But I think the real jump that Google has is they have the Android space. Amazon doesn't have the phone space. While this Google Assistant may start out with Google Home, they demonstrated it's going to be all over the phone as well. And if you start using Google Assistant on your phone, you're going to want to use the same lingo, the same nomenclature with another device that's in your house. So I think they're going to have a real jump. They may be second or late to the game, but I think they have the potential to move fast.
And I think the market is still wide open. I mean, how long has Echo been out? How many people?
about 2 years now.
I will agree with Jeff. My sister and my daughter, my oldest daughter, both have an Echo, and I was amazingly surprised with the quality of the audio out of that speaker.
all right. Anybody else got anything they want to add to home? I don't want to. I don't want to slide anybody because I think this was one of the bigger announcements to come out of I/O.
Well, I just want to just dovetail what one thing that Keith said
All right,
that
we're moving on.
yeah, no. It's like his philosophy is what most people do. It's like I don't use bill pay. I'm with Wells Fargo. I use QuickBooks because I want a different check and balance against what my bank account says over here. So it's always smart to have another service or invest in something else to be the cross check, because when something's wrong, then you can see it, right?
But I also think that Keith's point is it's not just cross-check, it's a matter of control. We don't want them to be in control to decide when the camera should come on or when the microphone should listen. We should have that control away from their servers. We should be able to decide when this service can, gather data, because that is what it's doing, is gathering data. And when are you home? When are you not home? All of those things are potentially dangerous pieces of information if they get into the wrong hands. So it is a matter of control as well as convenience.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now, I'm going to move on, and for anyone listening or watching on YouTube, there were a lot of other announcements out of Google's I/O. Let's face it, it was a 3-day event. I'm just hitting the highlights. There are some stuff that I plan on talking about in weeks coming up, mainly Android Wear 2.0. I'd like to spend some time with the panel on. But for right now, I want to move in. They announced two new messaging apps, Allo and Duo. Allo is going to be a text messaging app. Google likes to say that it was built from the ground up using machine learning. The only thing I can think of is artificial intelligence sounds too scary for them to say that, so instead they use machine learning. But basically, it's supposed to get better in time. And here again, Allo is a chat app, and it's based upon your telephone number, whereas currently we have Hangouts and Messenger, two more messaging apps from Google that are tied to your Google account. Both Hangouts and Messenger allow you to launch video chats with multiple people. Duo, while tied to your telephone, is everybody confused yet? Duo, while tied to your telephone, will let you video chat with one other person. Think Facebook, or I'm sorry, Apple's FaceTime. Okay, so this app was built to compete directly with FaceTime. Google assures us that Hangouts aren't going away. Now, this really frustrates me because I see so much potential in Hangouts, but it still falls short. Okay, and I would have much rather seen effort going in, hey man, put artificial intelligence in Hangouts, or give us the option to opt in or opt out of artificial intelligence in Hangouts, but give us something that's worthy of your services. And here's the biggest problem that I see. How do you market all this stuff? And Keith, I haven't even gotten to Spaces and the blog post that you wrote today, which basically, and listen, I think that Spaces is okay. I see some use in Spaces, but you said it was dead on arrival, and I agree with that. But I say that it's dead on arrival, not because it doesn't support apps for business and the other things that you mentioned that I'll let you tell. I think it's dead on arrival because Google announced it. They threw it out there. There's no marketing. I guarantee you that I have over 1,000 followers on Facebook, and I would just about be willing to bet you that 980 of them wouldn't even know what I'm talking about right now when I say Google Spaces. Okay, Google has all of the stuff that's similar but not quite the same, and it's confusing to Joe user.
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, we'll cover Spaces in more detail later. But, yeah, I mean, I can see where they're coming from. The problem with Hangouts is about 2 years ago, they tried to consolidate everything into Hangouts. And I think that was, in some cases, a mistake. My personal view is that the problem they have with Hangouts is they try to cram the video and the text chat together. They should have kept them as completely separate, because video Hangouts, as they were, which was the original Hangout product, have always been pretty good. We're using them now. The text chat was kind of bolted onto it, and it felt artificial. It doesn't work very well. And it kind of, although it gave a better functionality and a smoother experience in many ways than the Google Chat or Google Talk that it replaced, in some ways it just kind of made it more confusing for users, and they've not developed on it, and they have actually added some basic machine learning functions into Hangouts, and they kind of with the promise they were going to do more. And then, you know, for example, if someone says "Where are you?" or types "Where are you?", it will pop up the prompt for you to share your location with them. But it feels like they've just kind of abandoned Hangouts in the last year or so, and that's a real shame because it had so much potential, and there's so many things that they could have added to it to make it sort of such a great product. And now they're developing these other kind of spin-off products that you think, well, why are they not putting that into Hangouts? Now, I can kind of understand with Allo. I can understand with both of them actually. There's the problem that Hangouts has, and I've experienced this as I play the Ingress game, and most of the Ingress players tend to use Hangouts. And the advantage of Hangouts there is network effect, Metcalfe's law, which basically says, like everybody who plays Ingress has a Hangout, has a Google account, so therefore they can use Hangouts. Whereas any other chat client you talk about, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Transmission, any of these others, you have to specifically sign up to, and some people will always resist that. So Hangouts is kind of the low-hanging fruit when it comes to Ingress players. But it's missing so many features that would stop people trying to look to other products because it has no moderation and the group capabilities are limited. And you just think, for God's sake, Google, why don't you just get in there and actually fix some of these things that people have been saying for the last 18 months? But I can see why they've kind of done Allo because of that, because what Allo gives you is the ability for all those people out there who've got Android handsets because they're a cheap, good handset, but they don't actively use Google services, to actually have a chat client like iMessage that they don't need to sign up to any of the other Google stuff for, which some people don't want to. And one of the features of Allo, which Hangouts desperately needs, is end-to-end encryption.
Right.
And there was actually someone, one of Kieran Ainsworth, one of the other Tech and Coffee regulars, actually posted a bit of a diatribe the other day saying, why isn't Allo got end-to-end encryption on by default? Well, the argument against that is the fact that if you don't have if you have the end-to-end encryption, it means you can't use any of the machine learning stuff, because by definition, the machine learning stuff can't actually see what you're saying if you use encryption. So there's a good reason for that. So, it could turn out to be an interesting product, but I don't think, as you say, I don't think Google will market properly. And the same with Duo. Duo is basically a FaceTime replacement, and maybe that will be more popular simply because, again, you don't need any real sign-up to it apart from your telephone number. So a new Google Android handset user doesn't need to engage in the whole Google ecosystem. And you never know, it might be popular just simply because it's the default application, if it is, on all new Android phones, and it's there and you don't need to do anything much to use it. But I don't know, I think Google are taking a lot in faith that people will just use these products without any kind of marketing.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest gripes. In fact, that's one of the biggest reasons I think that Google Plus is a failure. It was the greatest social network that was out there, period. But Google, just for whatever reason, was not successful in promoting it. But I'm getting off topic here. Somebody else jump in on all these messaging apps. Jeff, go for it.
Just briefly to talk about Hangouts versus Duo, why I would think that's a good thing. Google did a horrible job of marketing Hangouts, but Hangouts, I feel, have been very successful, right, in the Google community. It's just what has been one of the stars of the whole Google Plus experience for
using it right now.
Exactly. So, and it's gotten better. I mean, it's not rock solid, but it's pretty solid, right? We occasionally have problems, but most of the time it's 97% there, right? But where I think Duo is going to be good if it has that cross-platform kind of thing with it, where you can if there's no way to FaceTime someone on an iPhone, right? But possibly you can use the Duo from the iPhone to Google, and that would be successful to do it that way. And I think that would be a good way to kind of do the one-on-one things with people that are hampered by what are you going to use? Appear-in? You're going to use this other product? You're going to use Skype? Maybe Duo is going to be that answer for that, and it'd be simple. Hopefully that would work. Might work with my mom. Who knows? Make it simple. That's what it's all about, right?
I agree with that. Probably twice a week, I video chat through Hangouts with my wife. She's keeping my granddaughter, and It's just the way my granddaughter seems to enjoy seeing me at work. And honestly, I'll probably give Duo a whirl doing just that when it's available. But I don't have to. I mean, let's face it. From my Android phone to her Android phone, we could use Skype. We could use a Peer.in. I mean, there's other options out there. I have chosen to use Hangouts. Maybe I need to rethink just how I use my messaging app.
What is your stock messaging app? Because I just downloaded Google's Messenger for the very first time. I just looked at it within the last 5 minutes. I've used Hangouts not only for Hangouts videos, but I've been using Hangouts for the last 2 years as my default messaging app. So I get my SMS, my MMS. I do it all on that one app, and it's worked pretty good.
I use Hangouts, and let's see a show of hands. What's everybody use? I use Hangouts. Bruce uses Hangouts. George uses Hangouts. Keith uses Hangouts. Okay.
I'm a holdout.
Okay. What do you use?
I just use this default text messaging app on my phone. I will not integrate my messages with Hangouts.
Okay. And let's see, Jeff.
Ditto, same thing.
Okay. Bruce, to answer your question, I have Messenger installed right now on my Nexus 6P. I think on my Nexus 6P I've had it open once. I did use it some briefly on my Nexus 5. I prefer Hangouts. The biggest reason why is because I have tied Hangouts to my Google Voice number. And I think that is the biggest reason why Hangouts is my default messaging app, just for that one reason right there, because I can get my Google voicemails through the same app.
Yeah, and I can tap on my wife's text message. She doesn't use Hangouts. She don't want to have anything to do with it. But I can click the phone and call her through my Google Voice number on Hangouts, and she's gotten used to recognizing both my Google Voice number when it's incoming and my regular cell phone number. So I was going to ask Keith, I'm a little bit suspicious about the name of this messaging app. Does it have any English behind it? I mean, the app is called Hello.
It's more French than anything else I said.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey guys, listen. Let's move on here. We got a lot to cover here. First of all, and this is the one that gets me excited, guys. Everything that we've talked about so far was announced the first day of I/O, but this one right here was announced the second day of I/O, and that is that Chromebooks will, by this fall, be running Android apps. Almost every one of them, according to Google.
And that should have been the opening lead, not all this other bull crap along the way.
Well,
it's the biggest story.
Chromebooks are.
Talk about timing, Robert. At the same day that this was announced, it was also announced that in the first quarter of this year, Chromebooks outsold MacBooks. Okay? So not only, and listen, everybody that's here right now, I know has touted Chromebooks. We all own them. We all like them. We see so much potential in Chromebooks. And now we find out that sales continue to grow on them, and they're going to run Android apps. This is one thing that I'm going to say. I've had 2 or 3 people tell me that the reason why they didn't own a Chromebook was they couldn't Skype from it. Guess what? That's no longer an excuse because Skype runs on Android, and you'll be able to. Real quick here, I think I have a demo, and while I'm playing
There's no tuner built
this
in.
demo,
There's no on-screen menu.
Speaker
There are no built-in.
Oops. I don't believe that's the right video. It's not. That must have been the one after this one. Okay, we won't worry about the...
So just to let everyone know, right, in June on the developer channel, if you have basically the touch screens, those that's going to take place. So if you're on the developer channel and you have a touchscreen Chromebook, basically you're going to be the first to test out the apps on the Chromebook, Chrome OS, and then it'll be rolled out afterwards.
Well, that'll get me to this question. It'll roll out to everybody or everybody but apps users. You know, I have huge issues with some of the stuff that was announced the first day. I can't get to Spaces. I'm wondering and worried, am I going to be able to get the Android apps on my Chromebook because I use Google Apps for Business?
Right.
Don't know.
And that's one of the complaints that that Keith has had, and we will talk about Spaces. That'll be the next article that we cover. But man, by the way, I'm playing a video here. The Verge got a chance to actually use Android apps, and you can see the resizable. Here he went into a photo editing app. Now he's got the from the Android app, he's got Microsoft's Word open. He just embedded the photo that he edited, and then he's going to drop it in Gmail, the Android version of Gmail, and mail that.
That's perfect.
Guys, I really do think that this is a game changer for Google's Chrome OS. I think that here again, if these things can remain inexpensive, and by inexpensive I mean around $400 for a very good displayed Chromebook that will run basically the Play Store, I think this is let's put it this way. I think Microsoft and Apple should be very nervous about this. Don't get me wrong. People are still going to need Windows machines, and they're still going to need Macs. But a lot of people this is all they'll ever need.
Yeah, Surface Pros, you're going to be in trouble, right? I mean, for the amount of money you're going to spend on that versus a $400, $300 touchscreen Chromebook, right? And Chromebooks are just killing it in the education department, right? So it's just going to get even more intertwined.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed when I looked at the first list of the devices that were going to get them. This is an Acer C720, which a number of us own. The C730 is going to be eligible for this, but not the C720. Now, I have bequeathed this to my wife right now, so it does give me an opportunity to get something different. But yeah, I used to travel with my Chromebook a lot. You guys know that, and then I'd remote into my machine back home when I was on business trips. But, I couldn't do Zoom, and that's what I use for my team meetings, Skype for Business, which used to be Link, All of that's going to be available on the Chromebook now.
Yep.
Yep.
It is really huge news. It is really, really big.
And according to Google's session, it doesn't look that complicated. It looks like that Google's done just about all of the work that's required to do this, and developers, it's just a couple of lines of code that they have to use. But and what I really liked about it, it looks smart enough to know if it needs to be in portrait or landscape, and you have the option there to it's about 3 different screen sizes there that you can go to.
And it works on ARM or Haswell processors, right? So it's across the board.
Right. So, all right, man. Anybody got anything else they want to add?
Nope. I do think that was the biggest news for I/O. Really, I mean
Yeah, I agree. That's the one that really got me excited. Of course, just like I said, Google, you had me at Chromebooks before Android apps. I mean, I'm really excited now because I am. I'm a fan of the platform. I really am. Hey guys, we have already mentioned this several times. Let's talk about Google Spaces really quick. This was actually announced just prior to I/O going live, and They had a lot of the journalists and developers that were there download the app, and they were trying to use them for sessions. Uh, I did set up an Android journal space. I've set up a Tech and Coffee space. George set up a space. We've been, excuse me, we've been playing with it, and I think it's very adequate for small groups. Okay, but with that said, it's something that I could very easily accomplish. I'm sorry, guys, using Facebook. Okay, I could set up this group right here in Facebook and communicate with just you guys using a button. All right, it's Google has thrown it out there. Nobody knows it exists, and I've already vented that once. I'm going to shut up. Hey, Bruce, go ahead and get going here. What's your impressions of Spaces?
Well, dadgummit, I had to come up with another notification sound for this app, so I could distinguish it between. So I got a little funky sound and everything. It just, I want to simplify my life, and I think while there may be some potential here, I want to live in, no more than one or two, worlds for this, I have Facebook groups with people that I'm a part of several Facebook groups, and I'm part of several Google Plus communities as well. So I don't know. I'm willing to mess around with it a little bit more. I thought it was interesting that you created the Android Journal spaces and also the Tech and Coffee regular spaces. We've been posting on it, and kind of getting used to it, but. I don't know, the jury's kind of out for you. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Hey, Keith, listen, you wrote quite a bit about this today. I thought you did a great job, but put it in your own words here. What do you think of Spaces?
I think it's as a basic product. I think it's interesting. I think, from personally, I would have preferred it to be within Google Plus because we've already got those sort of capabilities within there, and it would have been nice to extend them with the additional capabilities that Space offers. I can see why they didn't do that, because they seem to be backing away from Google Plus basically since they messed up with their YouTube integration, and Google Plus got a good bad name because of that. And so this provides a way for them to offer Google Plus like capabilities outside of Google Plus, so it's probably kind of easy to get people on board with it. But my biggest problem is this issue, and I wrote about this in my blog. I think all of that is irrelevant. Whether it's a good product or a bad product, I think it's largely irrelevant because it's just the way they've rolled it out, and commonly now they seem to exclude non-Gmail users from all of their new product releases for at least 6 to 9 months, and I think that's a mistake because my view is. Google are rubbish at marketing these products. They're not going to advertise them, so nobody's going to know about them except for people like us who are the Google power users, the Google fanboys, who will go and try this stuff out and prod it around and see, kick the tires and see how it works. But so many of our community, because we are Google, fans, have Google apps or non-Google, at least Google accounts which are non-Gmail accounts. And if they exclude us from these products, then that's frustrating as individuals, because especially if you're a Google for Work user, because you're paying them to use their services and they're not giving you all their new shiny stuff.
That's me, brother. That's me. I'm paying them and I can't get the service.
Exactly, and I'm the same. But I think why it's such a critical issue on this is that it's a social product, right? It's not Inbox, for example, where the fact that I didn't get it for 7 months after they launched it was annoying. This is a social product. If someone wants to connect with me, and I've got a Google Apps account or another non-Gmail account, using Spaces, they can't. They just can't. So someone comes along and says, "Oh, let's create a Google Spaces for whatever, family, for Tech and Coffee, for whatever," then you can't actually involve all the people in it that you want to now. And we're the people that are promoting this. We're the people who are going to make this go viral if it does, and you're excluding us from the product. And that is why I think it's dead in the water, because you're excluding the most important people from it. And the trouble is that we're so, in the sort of communities who are going to use that product, we're such an important part of it that it's going to be very difficult for anybody to create a space on this product without hitting this barrier that the member of the community that they'd like to involve doesn't have a Gmail address, has a Google account but not a Gmail address. And I've been involved in about 5 spaces that various people have set up, including myself. I tried to set up a Spaces account with my family to try it, and there were actually more people in my family who have a non-Gmail Google account than who have a Gmail account, and so it was a waste of time.
Robert, please jump in here, man. I know you've got a lot to say.
Well, I could say the exact same things that Keith just said. And this, again, it's worse. It's not just bad that we don't get it. It's bad that it has happened over and over and over and over again. And when you are a paying customer and we get ignored, it reminds me of the days back when Verizon would say, hey, come be a customer to us and we'll give you this special plan or we'll give you this discount phone. But yet I, as a customer for 10 or 15 years at that point, would walk in the store and they're like, nope, you're not eligible for that. You're not going to get that promotion. You're not going to get that special plan. Why? Am I less valuable to you as an existing customer than some Joe Schmo who you don't know off the street's going to walk in? It's the same thing with Google. As Keith says, we are the guys that are promoting and recommending over and over and over again for people to use the Google services. But it becomes more difficult for me to recommend it because I never know what you're going to exclude away from those people. So in the end, what it comes down to, it gives me pause to think, do I really want to continue down this road, or are there other avenues that are available to my customers and my friends who may be looking for services that allow them to connect? The social space is a very crowded social space now. Options are there. And Google seems to think because they're number one in search that they can kind of just ignore everybody and do whatever they want. And they do it over and over again with their hardware, with their promotions. Jeff mentioned Google, the Q. Okay, we've talked about Android TV. You know, that shows a disorganization. Are you such a big giant that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and we're going to isolate or segregate out those people who are our biggest promoters? That is what Google has done over and over again, and I consider it this time more than ever to be a real slap in the face, because I would have thought they learned their lesson over the big debacle with Inbox. Really, nobody wants Inbox anymore now. Shame on Google.
All right, man. Jeff, got anything you need to add?
Well, you know, I just think it's this stupid supermarket approach to I'm going to put another thing on the shelf, so you can grab from this, or this, you know, but it dilutes your brand. It dilutes what needs to take place. We're all familiar with Google Plus. There's communities. There's all these. There's circles, and that's one thing that Facebook just does right. You know, they have a product, and they have groups, and that's it. You know, I mean, or pages or whatever. But it's very simple. It's always in the one point of view. It's always right there, and you don't want to just go from here to here to here to here to here to get what you need, right? And it's dumb that they don't have this all integrated, because that's what it needs to be, you know. And yes, it does show up in my notifications, and I joined the Spaces group because of Android Journal and Tech and Coffee, but I'm not going to spend my time going over there and then going over here and then go over there again. It doesn't really work for me. And I think it's something that's not. It should have been integrated, and it's not. It's not a need.
So in other words, as a fanboy, you have become disheartened and are not going to promote it to family or friends, right?
No, no way. Why?
Because
I
it's a
mean,
big, disjointed, ogre beast that, just confuses the hell out of everybody when it's easier to say, go to Facebook, start a group, you're done.
exactly.
I
And
would
that's been the
disagree
problem.
I would disagree one thing. I've not used Facebook for a while, but when I was a Facebook user, I found Facebook's different groups and pages and various other things horrendously complicated, and most of the people I knew didn't use them because they were so complicated. They may have sorted that out now, but and they kept on chopping and changing them as well back in the day. So I think people use Facebook because they use Facebook and everyone else does.
Okay.
No,
But I
actually,
think
it's pretty simple. I mean, I was forced to join Facebook for certain groups, and now I post there as well, and it's actually quite easy.
maybe they improved it, but I'll say that you wouldn't be able to do it. Invite me to something, Duke, because I'm not on Facebook and I have no intention of ever going back there.
Yeah, and I think you make a valid point. First of all, I agree with both of you. I don't I've used Facebook long enough now to where I don't think it's complicated. However, I think it is very cluttered, Keith, with all the advertisements, the games, the stuff that Facebook is promoting. Now they promote in the stream. When you tried it a few years ago, you wouldn't see when you scrolled, you wouldn't see an advertisement. A lot of times you got advertisements there. People are promoting stuff, and so it's very cluttered. Uh, there are still a few things that I find awkward. One thing is like starting a new paragraph. If I'm writing a long post, it's really awkward. A lot of times, you have to use a Control Shift and then hit the return key just to keep. Because if you just hit the return key, think you're going to add a new paragraph, you end up posting. So it's stuff like that makes it awkward. But listen, here's what I'm going to say. With spaces, and I've got it up here, you can share a link, you can share a photo, you can post a message. And guess what, guys? The Hangouts that I was bashing so hard earlier in this conversation, guess what? I can accomplish all of those things in Hangouts, okay? This is another one of those apps that Google has added that I say is not necessary. Improve Hangouts instead of Spaces, okay? I can do Hangouts from the desktop as well as my tablet, my Chromebook, and my phone. All right? Just because I can do Spaces at all these other places too doesn't mean I need another app that does this stuff. Okay? Now, it is pretty cool that over here on the right-hand side, I can kind of see some of the last responses to the various spaces that I've either created or I am involved in. Okay? And that's something that Hangouts doesn't necessarily, they give me a similar view, okay, but they don't give me this view, which is a little more detailed. But with that said, it's not really worth using Spaces just for this extra view. All right, and so listen, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Here's a space that my wife and I created together, and we were trying out. My wife's been shopping for a new phone. I'm trying to steer towards a Nexus, so when I see a good deal on one, I point that out to her. I'll share random photos. But here again, there's nothing here on Spaces I can't do very easily in other places.
it strikes me, this is when they announced the new version of Hangouts a couple of years ago, when Google Plus was still a pretty thriving place. I thought this was kind of the sort of thing they were going to do in Google Plus, and if they'd have done that, that would have been fantastic. For example, being able to add chat to effectively add chat to a community within Google Plus would have been brilliant. But it's kind of half-hearted version of what they should have done 2 years ago with Hangouts.
Yeah. All right.
So do you think G Plus is slowly going to be just pieced out to different apps and then go away?
Well, I'm hoping personally. I hope they're looking at using these as a whether it fails or succeeds as a gateway drug into using things like G Plus. They seem to have backed away from G Plus. I almost get the impression that within Google Plus is actually a dirty word now, but because they seem to be producing products which have no integration, they seem to be removing integrations with Google Plus, which I think is a shame because it's a great product. I mean, they screwed up some of the integration with YouTube, but other than that, I think it's a great product still.
But since this is the first year I didn't actually follow Google I/O, was there any G Plus announcements?
G Plus has not been mentioned at I/O in 2 years now.
See, that's just crazy.
They've been doing regular updates to the new version of it, the new interface to it, but that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, guys, really quick here before we get into the sharing segment. Hey, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Tech and Coffee 1. Our YouTube channel is simply Tech and Coffee. Hey, it's still our favorite social network, Google Plus. You can follow us there. Just search on Tech and Coffee to look for that T and C logo. Also, you can catch this podcast on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and other podcasting apps. Hey, follow us on Twitter at Tech and Coffee 1. If you got anything you want to say to us on Twitter, use the hash Tech and Coffee. Hey, questions, comments, and snide remarks, AJ at techandcoffee.info. Hey, gang, let's talk about what we're sharing this week. And, Bruce, I'm going to start with you, my friend.
All right. I've been, I mentioned I got a new phone. This is a Galaxy S7. I bought it because it has just an amazing camera. And I'm doing more videos. I'm going to start to build out my YouTube channel. I'm in the process of trying a lot of different things and deciding, the direction it's going to go, what kind of template I'm going to use. But I want to do everything really simple. So I've got this really great little Manfrotto tripod. I got a selfie stick. I got a regular tripod. And I got this phone. I don't want to carry around a Canon 70D or some of them other little point and shoots that are $700 to $800. I want to do everything on a phone with a really good camera. I want to keep it simple. So I started looking for a video editor, and the one that I tried was called WeVideo, and I picked it because it was an editor's choice, and it's working out for me really good. Basically, I'll show you some of the pictures. What you do is once you decide you're going to do a video, you click this little plus sign down here on the bottom, and it will show you all of your photographs and all of your videos. Now, I really love this new phone because for the first time I'm able to do some really great slow motion videos, some really great hyperlapse. And so, I'm learning how important it is to be organized. So if I'm working on a particular video, I want to create albums so that everything I need to find is in one place. I don't have to scroll and scroll and scroll. But all you do is you click on everything that you want, and in the order that you click on them, they will show up in this particular timeline. And you can do a title. They do have some templates. If you click here, it'll give you an opportunity for different templates, and some of them are interesting. But what I really like about this is it gives me an opportunity to create the video. I can set the timing for the pictures and everything. I don't get into transitions and all that. But then what I do, once it's created and you click this little upload button, then it saves it, and it gives you an opportunity to send it right to YouTube. And then I don't need a lot of this particular stuff. So it's an app that allows me. This is just an example of some of the templates it gives you. But once I load it up to YouTube, and I don't like this music. The music is nice if you're just going to do kind of a vacation travelogue type thing. But if you're doing a YouTube video, you want to have video when pictures are showing, but then when you're talking, you want the video to stop. If you add music on this app and every other video editing app I've seen on Android so far. The music plays from the beginning all the way to the end. You can't stop it, and it just kind of loops, and I don't really want that. But what I like about this, it allows me to create a really quality video in the order that I want, which I then upload to YouTube, and then in YouTube I go ahead and add YouTube music using the create thing, and I can then I can put it where I want it and all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of my app for the week. It's called WeVideo. If you've got a better video editor to recommend in Android, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear about it. So that's my app.
All right, thank you, Bruce. George, hey, before we move on, Bruce, I've got one for you. Check on Viva Video, and they've got some excellent free music soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
And they just added a feature to where you can control the volume of the music versus the microphone. It's the interface is not as good as what you just showed me there, but it's Viva Video, and I'm very impressed with it. In fact, after the show, I'll share a couple of videos with you that I've made.
All right.
All right, hey George, what you got for us, brother?
I got a new Chromebook. Is what I got. now that it's integrating with Android apps, I got an Asus C100P, which is the Chromebook that also acts like a tablet. Touchscreen, everything else folds over completely. But I'm actually here to embarrass somebody. My sister's probably going to freak out by me posting this or putting this on the show. But there is me and my sister on April 19th buying Chromebooks in Kingston, New York. Matching Chromebooks. She loves her Chromebook, by the way. It was her first actual PC, period. And, now she's using it all the time. Say what?
I was just going to say that's very good to hear. Like Keith said, I think all of us here are fans of Google. Even when we're critical of them, we're still fans. I wouldn't call your sister, and I don't think you would either, a Google fan. And it's good to hear that she is enjoying her Chromebook.
I'm going to show you a cool accessory I bought for this. It's nothing major. I actually bought two of them. They're about $20 each. But because it's nice and aluminum and it's all metal and it's a really cool device, and I have stickers like all over everything I own, I bought these covers. So I can snap these covers on here, and it's still a functional book. There's a bottom cover as well. I took it off. But
very good. Very good.
$20 on Amazon for the covers.
And Georgia, that is one that is going to be supported right out of the gate, I understand, with Android apps. And I think you gave correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't talked about this, but I believe that list for $199?
$269 on Amazon right now.
It's $269 on Amazon. It was $239 on Amazon. It's sold for $249 at Best Buy, where we bought it. But they matched the price, and they also match the price on a buttload of other things we bought too, from with the Amazon prices. So I picked it up for $239.
Very good. Okay, Jeff, what are you sharing with us this week?
Well, I pretty much talked about it. It's the Amazon Echo, which again, I highly recommend, and I kind of made me, since I am a Prime member, right? I never really used Prime Music. And I gotta say, I really like Prime Music. You can just say, hey, shuffle Duke Ellington or play 70s, and it'll just go and do it. And the quality of it's not going to be like, Keith's Sonos kind of speaker, but for I think I paid $150 for it, $159 for the Echo, because it was like a little promotion thing. It is. We use it every day now, and there's a couple things that are kind of cool. You say, tell me a joke, and I'll tell you a joke, and it's kind of nice. It has a shopping list. You can add things to the shopping list. You have to check it off with their Amazon app that's on your Android phone, but it's definitely doable. And for a consumption device for music, and that's exactly what I wanted it for, and some other things, just asking a question about what's playing at movie times or something like that, it's perfect. It is perfect. And it's on all the time. Yes, there's security issues, but if you don't broadcast your SSID on your Wi-Fi modem, it's just another level of security that you can use. So, anyways, I like it a lot, actually. So,
Very good.
into it for about 2 weeks now.
Very good. Keith, do you have anything you want to share? I know you were last minute there. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, actually, I do. I was in Berlin last week at a conference, and I had the great pleasure of being entertained by some of the senior managers at a company called Wire, who produce yet another messaging tool. But I thought I'd mention it because it's looks interesting. Like some of the others, it focuses on privacy and security. They've top grade end-to-end encryption. What's interesting is they focused on making sure that's always enabled, even when you're on group chat. It has excellent quality video and group chats. I've been using it with some of the people I went to conference with. It's still a little early days at the moment, although they're kind of developing it quite rapidly and adding new features like the ability to throw in video chat, kind of video snippets and stuff like that. I'm not sure how well they'll do personally in a crowded market. Because there's a lot of video chat applications. There's a lot of more secure ones coming along now. But it's an interesting product. They've got an interesting approach, and it supports. It's cross-platform. It supports Google, Android. It supports web-based. It supports iOS, and there's downloadable clients for Windows, Mac, and Linux too. So it looks interesting. One to keep an eye on, and I've got it installed simply because I'm using it to keep in touch with some of the people I was at the conference with.
All right, very good. It looks interesting, Keith. I'll grab that. That and Slack are two apps that I've been wanting to try. So I thank you for that. All right, Robert, you're up, big dog.
Actually, I'm going to save mine for next week, and it's going to be a twofer deal. I'm going to show y'all the interesting comparison of the Amazon Fire Stick versus the brand new 2600 Roku stick with their remote apps. It's an interesting shootout, and I wonder who's going to win. Well, I know. Y'all can guess.
All right, thanks, Robert. I look forward to it. All right, a really quick here, guys. My app. I'll tell you what. I haven't done this app before, but I have mentioned it on the show. Listen, you want to share something, and maybe you want to share it across networks. This is called Every Post. Now, I want to tell you this. They do have a free. I think you can post 10 times in a day. And you can post across multiple networks, but they have a paid service, and I want to tell you it can get very expensive if you were a large corporation or, to where you needed to make several admins to post the stuff. You can use Every Post to do this. They do have a web interface that you can use from a PC, but I'm using it just from my phone. You can schedule posts, and this supports Facebook, Twitter, it supports LinkedIn, Pinterest. You can even set up news feeds to post to different locations. G+, this is a problem that I've had with this when I tried it originally. This isn't Every Post's fault, but G+ has never provided a proper API for people to utilize posting directly to G+. They've got a workaround. To do that, basically you have to turn off two-factor authentication. You have to make a request. It goes to their servers. It's very insecure. I would not recommend that you do it. However, you can do it. Okay, I wouldn't recommend that you do it. Listen, it works great. And by the way, I'm going to confess, I did originally set this up for G+, but I turned it off just because I never felt comfortable about it. But I'm serious. It works really great. If you want to post, you can do multiple accounts, multiple Twitter accounts. You can post to Facebook groups and pages, and you can select between all of those. It's not like you're forced to post to every one of them every time. I think it's a pretty good app for sharing locally from your phone. If I'm on my desktop, I don't see a lot of use for this, but this is just me by myself. But every post is a pretty good solution if you have a cause to post to 2 or more social services at the same time. That's called every post, and guys, that's all I've got tonight. So, before we call this episode 111, anybody got anything you want to add? All right, then. I'm going to do it. Welcome back, guys. It's great to be back. We went over an hour tonight. In fact, we went an hour and a half, but that's cool, man. We had a good time, and it's good to be back. And, guys, peace out. We will catch you in 7.